Hello and welcome to this series called Challenges. What can you and I learn from the challenges entrepreneurs have already faced? I'm your host, Praveen Shekhar, an outlier marketer and chair of the TiE Chennai Creative Special Interest Group. Everyone writes about success stories. What about challenges? Business challenges, marketing false steps, and how these bumps have fueled our ambition and growth. That's what this interview series is about. And we have a few TiE Chennai charter member bravehearts who are coming out here to talk about their challenges. Our guest today is PC Bala, talking to us about go-to-market strategies and de-risking dependency on a single client. PC, or Bala as he is addressed either ways, is one of the founding members of Matrix Business Services India Private Limited, India's largest integrated business assurance company having a presence across India. He is currently the managing director and CEO of Matrix. Matrix is also a leader in employee background verification services. Matrix has over 1,200 human resources, and Kotak Group had a stake in the company till April 2019. Significant stake got acquired by another homegrown company, Updater Services, and Kotak got an exit. At Matrix, Bala drives business development, strategy, people initiatives, and brand building. Bala has authored 4 books, of which 2 are as lead authors, and we are going to cover that later today. Bala is married to Sunita, and they're blessed with 2 sons, Arjun and Jayant. And you would like to know more about Bala, just go to pcbala.com. Bala, welcome to this series.
Thanks a lot, Praveen. Thanks for the invitation. I'm very, very happy about this.
Beautiful. Bala, I would request you to start off by telling us a bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
First of all, it is nice to be still in demand, and that's why I think you extended the invitation. So thanks for it. It's a great Monday. I did my chartered accountancy in Chennai after graduating out of St. Joseph's College, Trichy. With no intentions of getting into CA, I got into CA course because my my group of friends got into CA. I also got into CA. And believe me, I finished my inter pretty fast. It's a tough course, but my final took a long time to finish, to pass out. And hence I realized that, it wouldn't be possible for me that point of time to get into an MNC or a very large Indian company as a wanted employee. So the other option was to become a self-employed professional, because you don't have to attend any interviews. Rather, you would start taking interviews. So that was the trigger for me to really get into self-employment, because this was the first time in my whole family that somebody got into self-employment. So that's the starting point.
What gave you the impetus? Because all of us, especially first-time entrepreneurs, there's a much bigger bump that we'll have to jump.
It is like this, Praveen. Today, there is so much of hype around startup entities. Whatever you start. In those days, we never called ourselves as startup entities. You become a self-employed professional, or you get into business. That's it. The impetus, more than impetus, I would say. The risks were lesser for me because fortunately I never had the responsibility of maintaining my parents at a particular age, or something. I was financially very, very dependent. So I was on a slightly better platform, so as to say. And secondly, as I said, I was reluctant to join very small companies, unknown companies, despite becoming a chartered accountant. So the best way, I thought, a group of 3 or 4 people got together who were in similar path, who didn't complete CA in first attempt and willing to take that path of practicing your profession and experimenting yourselves. We were young, and so we could give ourselves some time, 2, 3 years, 4 years, for us to see whether we were able to march towards something sensible professionally. So just a gut. Put it in a very simple form. It's just a gut. And fortunately, nobody majorly questioned our move. Although I must admit, my parents, at least my father, was not too happy that I got into self-employment. He always wanted to join a TVS company or a Cholamandalam group because I was in Chennai. I've always been in Chennai from CA days. That's what he preferred, but I took a different path. Yeah, worry, tani worry.
We will, of course, cover that. But what a sea change in a couple of decades, or a decade and a half in this case. Well, startups are sexy now, and some parents say, oh, my son is working in a startup, as opposed to when you started, that the focus was more on something steady, the monthly income, the drug dosage at the first of every month that's coming in. Now, how did that channel into Matrix?
Very nice question. Thanks for taking me to those years. 1990 is when we started our profession. And till I was single, so there was no major necessity to earn money. The moment I got married in 1993, I realized the importance of earning money. And I mean, I'm not blaming my wife for that, but you have a family, so you are bound to earn. So eventually from 93, 94, our profession took a reasonable, got into a reasonable growth phase as chartered accountancy firm. But then over a period of time, we realized that we were nowhere compared to very well established CA firms, be it the big four, big five, large Indian firms. And it would have been possible for us to reach there also, because large companies won't touch you, unless you specialize on a specific subject. So there was always a hunger for us to do something which nobody had done so far. Okay. And perhaps that was the trigger for us to get into something very unique, very new to the country itself. And that's why we, discovered ourselves a lot better and got into services, which no other firm was actually focusing. We call this as supply chain related verification services or audit services, and specific to the FMCG and retailing industry. Retailing more today, not then, because retailing is maturing now. FMCG has always been a very stable industry in our country. So we got into the FMCG industry after initial learning from one of the gorilla companies in the same space.
Oh, tell us more about it, PCA. Gorilla company. Well, I'm an outlier marketer, so that word resonates a lot, and I'm very curious to know more.
I wouldn't I wouldn't mention the name of the company. And one of the largest, or perhaps the largest in the FMCG space. It took 3 years for me personally to go and meet anybody. Okay, we were young, so you never had a profile. But I'm somebody who perceives things. I don't give up. I don't give up at all till I fail. And after 3 years, we got the appointment to meet somebody, and that somebody, after another 6 months, gave us a chance where we got into body shopping. Body shopping is again a name given today. They just needed 2 or 3 people to be deployed there temporarily. We gave, and then post deploying the resources, when we actually spent our time understanding what these guys were doing for the company, we realized that so much could be done for this industry as such, as an outsourced service provider, and not only to this company, to the industry itself. And that was a game changer. So till today, I have a lot of gratitude for that company, and that was a game changer. So we developed services, and we started duplicating those services across various other companies. When you do for the biggest company in the industry, automatically others would also give an audience at least to present your pitch, and that's how it happened.
So from chartered accountancy, you got married. Just as a segue, behind every successful man, there's a woman with a raised eyebrow. So in your case, your wife was that. But how did the segue happen between that to verification?
Yeah. So we were still running it as a CA firm only, although we were not providing services typical of a CA firm. And much later, 2003 perhaps, we got associated with another company which got into credit verification services. Now you call them as a startup, okay? 2003, we can afford to call them a startup. But then by some default or design, they got into employee background verification services. And by which time, as a firm, we had established our network across the country. Perhaps the first entity in the country to have had 125 CA firms as empaneled service provider was our firm. It was not Matrix then, but it was our firm. And so these guys, new company, had a business model in place, but they never had a service delivery model in place. You ought to have presence all over the country to do address verification, university verification, and so on. So they spoke to us and took our services. So we were actually rendering services to this new company. But then we realized that it is like getting 1 rupee and then you're dividing it in many people. One is that company, second is our company, and third, several associates. We call them associates, CA firms empaneled with us. So the money was getting split. And we realized that there was so much of synergy between what we were trying to do as a verification company and theirs as a verification company. We thought we'll create a fantastic spin, a lovely story around verification team. And that is how the merger happened. So the firm merged with that entity and we rebaptized ourselves as Matrix. So as Matrix, we are in the 16th year today.
Wow. And you pretty much own the verification space.
Yeah.
Beautiful. As a marketer, that's what all of us try to do, to capture that particular word so that, like, if it is photocopying, it's Xerox. If it is verification, it's Matrix. So kudos to you and your team, PC.
Thank you, Praveen. And you may like this punchline. Sorry, I cannot get rid of
go ahead, please.
See, we again coined it as a 3P company, a 3P verification by a 3P company. People, product, process, assurance verification and assurance services by a 3P company, which is a third-party company. So 3P by 3P is the punchline.
And it's catchy, so it definitely holds on.
And relevant also.
Now, as you went through this journey, are there any big challenges, at least one big challenge that you faced that you would love to talk about, PC?
Honestly, even today, every day is a challenge, but it's never easy, especially in your services industry, and catering to very large names from various industries is always a challenge. But I would like to quote one or two challenges this year, which might be useful. The dependence on one company, the same company which was actually a game changer for us. We grew our business with them multifold. I'm talking about at least about 18, 19 years. And the entire investment, which means the top management, entire time, all our resources, all our attention, focus was primarily only on that company. And we grew, no regrets. We grew phenomenally very well. And we gained terrific amount of brand equity primarily by servicing that company at that point of time. But then what happened is, over a period of time, we were rendering a specific retail audit services for that company, which we call a retail audit. And we were sharing the services. Another entity much bigger than us, they were also handling the same services for another vertical within that company. So we were handling one vertical, they were handling another vertical for the same company. Unfortunately, after a few years, these two verticals internally merged within that company. So when it got merged, obviously the company chose that service provider who was actually servicing the bigger vertical in that company. So we lost that business for no mistake of us. Our services were very well appreciated and excellently received. We were also deploying technology at that point of time itself. But somehow we realized our dependence on a single client, entire investment, suddenly we felt orphaned. So we had a few small customers, but the major piece of the cake just got lost overnight in 30 days time. That was a real wake-up call for us. And that's where we started building a lot of mid-sized and even large companies from that point of time. So the attention was given to several other names, several other companies. And till today, we practice de-risking as a very, very important strategic tool to stay in business.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing that, PC, because very few entrepreneurs are brave hearts who come out and talk about their vulnerable period. That is one of the reasons for this video series. This is to bring it out so that I can learn what is my dependency, what is my client spread, what do I do to de-risk myself. So how did you go ahead? Because here you were forced to do it. You had several mouths to feed. So how did you go ahead and do it, PC?
Very simple. See, those days we never had digital marketing. It is all, you had to just gate crash into certain companies. I was shamelessly gate crashing into so many other companies. Believe me, there were times when, take for example, Gurgaon, where I even today travel a lot of time to Delhi and Gurgaon, and where I had an appointment with another company. I was walking down post that appointment and I saw another nice board, another nice name board, which is a MNC. I just barged into it. Today I may not be able to do that, but that day I just barged into it, and believe me, I honestly asked for a meeting with the CFO of that organization without no prior appointment at all. But sometimes your gut will yield the right result. I was asked to wait for about 30-40 minutes. And then the CFO came and met, because to him it was a very big surprise. Who this guy, somebody from Chennai, suddenly walked into this company, giving his name card and wanting to meet me. And that meeting happened. He's very magnanimous to spend about 20 minutes with me. And again, just like the first company I mentioned, every year, whenever I visited Gurgaon, I used to visit this office. For 4 years, I did that. And today, 4 years, nothing happened. But from fifth year, they became a client. And today they are in top 10 customers of Matrix. So that's, I think, primarily it is about forgetting what others would think about, when you market. You have a service, you can be denied, you can be chased away, doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. And even today, that's precisely the reason, Praveen, even today when I get a customer where the value of business is just putting some number, 50,000 rupees a year, even today I get a kick out of this, because I walk through that path of getting a 10,000 rupees per annum customer. So even today when I get a new customer for 50,000 rupees a year, I get a superb kick. Similarly, when I lose a customer who's only 20,000 rupees a year, I feel very, very miserable, because it takes a lot of time to build a customer.
A lot of learnings for me. One is shameless marketing, trusting your gut, and nothing like a bit of desperation to drive us entrepreneurs to go ahead and say, yes, I can get that through. From 1 year post that, how did you ensure that this de-risking strategy continued? Was there a process that you employed? Was there a training? What happened?
Two things I would say, de-risking. One is on the customer side. The other is on the people side. What we realized is, everything cannot be done by us, and you have to rope in people from the industry who have work experience and much smarter than you when it comes to operations. And I'm proud to say here, 20 years back or 18 years back, I recruited my COO, today CEO, that time it say head of operations or whatever, at a salary higher than my own salary. So, the salary was nothing significant to boast of, but still, I never felt bad about it. Like, if the firm has to succeed, you need to get better people in the organization. Today, I'm very glad that I have people down below me who are smarter than me, who are better than me. And that's how I'm able to continue still as an entrepreneur. So that is one sensible thing we collectively did. And I think I'm glad that I also took that call of appointing somebody like that, number one. And on the business side, till today, I know that's still my agenda. I identify new names, and it's my duty to go and meet new names, spread the word about Matrix. Today we have solid credibility. Earlier we never had, we were new. Just go and narrate your story. We don't sell a service. We go and narrate our story. This is what we are capable of. And even if it doesn't result in business, there is one more new person who has known about Matrix. I think that's job well done for me. So that is why I rated as, you are a marketing guru, so you can, and this is something that came to me naturally. So this is my story. Every month, if a few number of relevant people start knowing about your own company, that's job well done. And that's a key success for our growth in revenues and sustainability. Nothing, it's not rocket science. It is purely perseverance and a real credibility that we have built, and talking about the credibility to the relevant people.
Beautiful. To me, what makes absolute sense is you're not going behind the whole world. A few people every month to know your story, which is finite. You have an idea about who these people are, and business will happen when it's supposed to happen, but you will be top of mind.
Absolutely.
Excellent. May I indulge you with one more challenge that you've had, PC?
Yeah. See, there are two verticals in our company. One is the audit and assurance services, primarily for FMCG, consumer durable, retailing, etc. The other is, as you rightly mentioned, employee background verification. We are a leader in the employee background verification. And as regards the audit assurance services, perhaps number one is Matrix, which is where we give a bouquet of services under one roof, and there is no equivalent. The size may not be big, but it's a very niche area. And background verification business, for the vertical business, has been happening through automated mails, references, and internal enquiries. The enquiries used to pour because it was relatively new to the country, such a service. But then we were growing big time in the business. But post a few years, we realized that we never had a go-to-market strategy at all for that business. Because for organizations business anyway, you had to do a lot of hard selling. As I said, you had to go and gate crash. You had to go and take some references, talk to them. But background review never realized that there was a need to do that. Not that you have to create a sales engine, put 10 people on the job. Doesn't work that way. But there has to be some kind of a go-to-market strategy, which we never had till recently, till about 2-3 years back. But business was growing. But then when you don't, benchmark with the growth of this business, with regard to what competitors are doing, number one, or even internally, there is a potential for you to grow at a particular percentage, and you don't grow, or you downsize your own potential, then there is a problem. So perhaps it was a little bit of a late realization for us. Doesn't matter, better late than never. So we realized that go-to-market will help in so many ways. One, again, as I said, you have to keep talking about your story, your credibility story. So we have now reached more number of people in the last 3 years or 2 years than what we did on our own for the past 14 years, earlier 14 years. So that is giving us huge amount of momentum. So today, if it is background verification, Matrix will be in top of the mind, and we compete with some very big names in that for that service. And despite that, if you are a leader, it is about our own services, and it is about how we are now going to the market on our own, created a go-to-market strategy, and spreading the word amongst various prospective users. And for that business, the beauty is somebody who's recruiting 2 people per month and 2,000 people per month both need the services. So the market is very, very large.
So PC, your management team realized you did not have this go-to-market strategy. How did the realization come? And did you seek external help to put things in place?
The internal inquiries started dropping. Okay, so and once you have signed up with all the bigger names, then you realize that you're not creating new names or no new popular names, reasonably popular names. Then you start questioning yourself, hey, what is it we are doing? And then you list the potential number of customers with whom we have not been there. The list was quite large. And what did we do about it? Nothing we did about it. It's not that every time somebody will walk into Matrix and say, hey, I need your services. That doesn't happen at all. So that realization was a very big realization for us, and good that we realized at some point of time. And even today, it has helped us grossly. And even if it not resulted in business, as I said, the brand communication from Matrix has become a lot more larger and a lot more louder after this go-to-market strategy.
Beautiful. My key learning here is internal audit. How many of us look at the data that we generate and take these data-driven decisions? You have realized a dip over time and then said, okay, how do I set it right? And therefore, a go-to-market strategy. Of course, you would not have got it perfect the first time around, but over the course, as you say, the numbers show the results, and that is something that I would love to. So what are the constituents of the go-to-market strategy? Of course, I don't need to know your strategy, but for the benefit of the viewers and listeners, how do they go about it?
Very simple. Thanks to digital marketing today, you can access many people. You can definitely access many people. Number one is we know which are the industries for whom these services could be very relevant. Priority. These are large employees. To start with, large employees. IT, BPO space, your BFSI. These are the large employees. So ideally, list all the names. The names are available. If they are listed companies, it is available in stock exchange. And otherwise, when you attend so many conferences and seminars, and that's something we also initiated much later. Today we are participating in many conferences. It helps you in networking and at least shake hands with the right set of people and tell a story. And I realized when you start narrating about yourself, if the person is the recipient of this information is interested, then you talk less. And the guy starts talking a lot more about your own company and then gives you an audience immediately. So we started attending a lot of these conferences. We started listing a lot of names from stock exchange and other sources of information, and just look at standard, every month 20 names, 30 names, either personally or at least through mail. Today we have LinkedIn, we have other ways of approaching the people. Try your luck. I mean, you're not borrowing. Okay, you're not going for an unsecured loan. You're saying that you have a phenomenal service that could be provided, which could be useful to the company, and that comes to you at a very, very competitive price. At least 50% of them will listen to that.
Beautiful. So we've heard about challenges, we've heard about the changes that you have brought in. I'm coming to the third C, creativity, or the secret life of PC Bala, or the not so secret life. Viewers and listeners, PCB is an author. He has authored 4 books, and we're going to cover at least 2 of them. So, how did your author journey start?
I wrote my CA exams 4 times. So by default, I'm a writer. Okay, the same exam, if you write 4 times, you automatically become a writer. So, and you write the same subject, whether it is company law, whether it is income tax. So there is a writer in every chartered accountant. Number one. Number two, my admiration, my devotion, my love for Mr. Rajini made me a writer. And it is like this. I've been following him ever since he was launched in the year 1975. I will not call myself as a fan. That will be an understatement. I'm a real devotee of Mr. Rajinikanth. I have seen his growth phase. I have seen his unique selling proposition. I've seen his strategies, experienced his strategies, huge amount of performance, how he has positioned himself amongst great competition around, talented competition around, but still he was able to win, and still he is able to win till date. So there is something about it that we can pick up for our own life, for our own business. So, he is very, I can't produce a movie with Mr. Rajinikanth. He will not act in my movie. I cannot direct him. I don't belong to the industry. So the only way I could do something with him was to write a book. And I didn't want to write a biography and things like that, because many people have written, or we all know what he is. And you go to Wikipedia also, you will get information about him. But then I thought, he is very popular for the signature statements in silver screen, some of his punchlines. No, I thought I would give a different color to these punchlines, because some of them I truly follow. And that's where it started. Some of his amazing lines, what a business guru or management guru, marketing guru could tell in so many pages, Rajinikanth could convey in just 2 lines, and very simply communicated, very easily communicated. It can travel the distance. So that's where it prompted me to do my first book with him. It's called Rajini's Punch Tantra, and it was launched for his 60th birthday.
Wow, but let me put on the marketer's hat. You have a grand vision. You obviously have a good topic. How did you reach out to Rajini?
What a question, Praveen. Fantastic question. I spoke to at least 15, 20 people, trying to get an access to him, and everybody promised the moon, but nothing happened. Then, I got in touch with Mr. Raja Krishnamurthy, Kitty. I have used his professional services for our company, so I know him. So when I spoke to him about this, he was very excited, and he asked me to send a note about one chapter also. The draft chapter I mailed him. He was very interested. It was only on business management. Okay, Rajini's Panchandra and business. The title was coined later. So he said, "This is wonderful," and he said, "Why not? I also join and help you in writing this book." Oh, fantastic, fantastic! He said, and he said, "Sir, everything's fine, but this book is not on unless the main man wishes me." So that was my point. And he gave a beautiful suggestion that let's not stick to only business management. Let us also derive the life management. That is what would be closer to Mr. Rajinikanth's heart. So good suggestion, most welcome. And then after, I used to nag him literally every other day, whether he got in touch with Mr. Rajinikanth. It went on for about 30, 40 days, nothing happened. He was very busy with that's Endiran shooting. One fine day, Kitty calls me and tells me, "Hey, Bala, are you in Chennai?" I said, "Very much." It was around 8:30. He said, "Mr. Rajinikanth wants to meet you. Is it okay for you to come and meet him?" My goodness. Even if I had been in Bombay, I would have cancelled all my meetings and flown to Chennai to meet him. So 10 o'clock was the meeting at his residence. And one of the biggest pitches I've ever done in my life. It is like going and pitching for your business possibly with the biggest customer. Either you don't get second chance to make the first best impression normally. And I was extremely tensed to meet him. But you all the people, the greater CEOs of larger organizations, they may give you a lot of comfort, and that's what this man did to me when I went and met him, and used a great line from his own movies. And there he just perhaps fell for it, and he immediately acknowledged that I could go ahead and do it. Not that you have to seek his permission, but I needed his best wishes, and he blessed me and wished me for the book. And if you want to know what I told him, I don't mind telling that to you.
Please, please.
There was a time when the Shivaji movie had got released. It was a big hit, but I told Mr. Rajinikanth, took the right of telling him that I didn't really like that movie much. The reason is, I like the movie, but you were very, very subdued throughout the movie, except for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But you cannot be like that. You cannot be subdued in a movie. He said, is that so? Yeah. And I said, it is extempore, right? And I said, just to borrow your own words, Urundathan Bhumi, Kathadan Kadavul, Suttadan Nirpu, Meratinathan Rajini, I said. And exactly laughed like how you laughed, Praveen. So he laughed aloud. Then I knew, man, not bad. I made a reasonably good progress on this. And he said, what do you want? I said, I need your best wishes for me to write this book. He said, it's always there. I said, no, I don't, this is not enough. You have to give it in writing. So I gave my name card, and he signed the rear side of the card, best wishes, Bala. And till today, it is digitally saved for generations.
Beautiful. Now, I would love to map. That's your personal creative pursuit. That's your passion on the side. But to me, equating it, PC, now you wanted to achieve something, you tried various means, and then you picked up a partner, you were perseverant, and then you got your pitch with your number one client at that particular point, and you obviously had enough passion and preparation to also give in these comments on the fly. Beautiful. But you followed that up with a sequel.
Of course, yes. So the book, Chennai, the first initially publisher said he would not do this book because Rajini fans would not read books. They would only watch movies. I said, are you willing to underwrite X number of copies? I said, no, here I will write. My job, I will market, but my job ends there. But he was not willing. Then another Chennai, after long wait, another publisher, which is New Horizon Media, Badri was very excited about this topic. He published, very thankful to him even today. But then after it was published, the initial rush for this book, Rupa Publications took over the rights, English rights. It was published both in English and Tamil. And even till today, after 10 years, the English copies are available at the stores. So that's the beauty about this book. So Rupa took over the English rights. And I was very glad to see Rajini's Panchantra being sold out of a store in Chandigarh as well. So since they saw immense success with this book, they asked me to do another book on Mr. Rajinikanth. And that was a time when 12-12-12 was nearing, which is a special birthday, தலைவர்'s special birthday. And they wanted to do a biography kind of stuff. But again, I was against a biography. And then I said, let me do something which is unique, which is useful for either for people or business people, entrepreneurs, human resources, and so on. Derive something from a great brand like Rajinikanth. So that was the time when Apple phone, I don't remember, was getting launched, and I saw a long queue, in the US, a photograph where people were waiting to pick up the first phone. Immediately, there was a correlation. The Apple and Rajini were almost similar to me because both are slim, both are very stylish, both are iconic, and for both there is a lot of craze. People buy Apple because it is Apple. People go and see Rajinikanth's movie because it is Rajinikanth. Nothing else really matters. So I coined the idea, let me do a story called "Is Rajini the Apple of Indian film industry?" The very long one. Then, okay, made a little bit of a correction to it and said, we'll do a brand story and we'll call it "Is Rajini the Big B?" What beautiful, great controversy it would have been. Is Rajini the Big B? Very, very simple. And the publisher was skipped about it, but he said, don't use that title because it will be a controversy. Both are very good friends. Anyway, till today, I regret I should have retained the title. But then he said, I will give you 90 days to finish this book. My God, that was something phenomenal, difficult, no doubt it is. I'm not a natural writer. So I got hold of another friend of mine who is another devotee of Rajinikanth, and we divided our work. I said, I will do Rajinikanth's film, journey, right from launch, becoming a brand, super brand, and finally a cult brand. And I said, you create stories on various global stories, global brands, which have gone through this. For example, like Kevin Care, to Nokia, to Adobe, to any company, whether they have similar stories. These stories were mapped with Rajinikanth's movies, right from his first movie till Endiran. So that became the second book called Grand Brand Rajini, which is a huge research on brand management. And coming from an accountant like us, a book on brand management is something we are proud of.
which is as outlier as what you can think. A number man talking about brands out here. Beautiful. Now, PC, I'm just curious to know if any of these books have contributed back to the PC CEO brand or the Matrix brand and brought in leads.
Absolutely. You see, first of all, Mr. Rajinikanth is an icebreaker. Okay, like Sachin Tendulkar, like MS Dhoni. And believe me, since some of my, I don't tell my customers I'm writing books, first of all, because tomorrow something goes wrong in the company in terms of service delivery, they would say that, this PC is engaged with books. So that's why he's not focusing. It's not so. But some people know about these books because some books became popular. But believe me, it's an icebreaker. One is books itself. If you write a book, it is an icebreaker. People love it. Whether you sell books or not doesn't matter. But if you've written a book, it is an identity for yourself. It's not easy. Not everybody can write a book and publish. And secondly, a book on Rajinikanth on business management is a curiosity to the power 100 to the power 1000. So it has helped. And you won't believe it has connected me with certain amazing people from the business world. For example, Mr. Subrata Bakshi Mindtree, he wrote a mail to me, 2-3 lines, if I remember. Good for Panchtantra. Good idea, well delivered. And from that again, I was waiting for 9 months or 1 year to seek an appointment with that great gentleman. I got it. I wanted 10 minutes with him. He gave me 45 minutes one-to-one with him. So I can't ask for anything more. This is like selling 1 lakh copies. So books do connect, and it's not that I don't have any personal agenda on that, but books do connect. And I have presented this book and Grand Brand in at least about 60 places, including corporates. So it helps in your business also. It helps, when you go and present this to a group of accountants, group of commercial officers or sales guys, naturally, they know who you are. And then when they understand what you can service, it helps you in your business. It definitely helps in your business.
Brilliant. A brand book as a brochure, as an icebreaker, a phenomenal idea, well executed, to borrow Subrata Bakshi's words out here. But PC, as you've written 2 other fiction books, as an author, which is the one book that you'd recommend for entrepreneurs like me?
One book, in fact, I wrote it with a bit of an anger. The book called Ready, Steady, Exit. Unfortunately, I don't have the copy of the book to show it to you now. The reason is 2 things I noticed. One, chartered accountants are never portrayed as great heroes in any story. Either you have to be from IIT or from IIM to qualify for being a hero or a main character in Indian contemporary fiction. So I thought even chartered accountants have a good life of their own. They can also flirt. They can also do well in jobs. They can fall in love. They marry. They can ditch. They can betray. All of that even chartered accountants can do. So that was anger number 1. And anger number 2 is seriously again the hype being given to any entity which is just getting floated as a startup entity. So these 2 made me to write a story around the startup entity, new entity, cautioning the entrepreneurs also, even cautioning some entrepreneurs. Hey guys, when you start an enterprise, the struggle that you would go through, you need not be a CA, any business, applicable to any business, is a fiction. But then there are a lot of hidden learnings. What are the hurdles you will come across? Financial, otherwise, people, etc. And the kind of partners you rope in, how careful you should be. The kind of investors, how careful you should be. And sometimes, main message, when you feel that you have failed, the worldview is different. They think that you have succeeded. And sometimes when you feel you have succeeded, the worldview can be completely different. They may perceive that you have failed. So this is the essence I brought out of this, which has a lot of humor, romance, and a lot of suspense and betrayal. So that is Ready, Steady, Exit. Praveen, I suggest you read that book. You will really love that book.
Absolutely. I would. Do you have a copy of any of your books lying around? I'd love for the audience to see.
The first book, which is a national bestseller, I think 6 rounds or 7 rounds of prints already. And this is also Mr. Rajinikanth's favorite book. This is how he gave a feedback. Let me show that.
Excellent.
Although he was reluctant, knowing Mr. Rajinikanth, he was reluctant to give his 4 lines. But then, I gave the entire script, came back. And one day he called me, and on his own, he gave those 4 lines of reading the entire book.
Excellent. What is the book that you're reading currently or you recently read? Any business book?
I've been reading a mix of fiction as well as non-fiction books today, and one of the authors, Priya Kumar by name, who's also an amazing trainer, amazing speaker. I started reading her books, and I find her books very, very nice, very, very. I mean, a lot of depth in her writing. She's got a very unique style writing. Not that I'm promoting her work, but I generally love people who write differently in a very different manner. So I read all her 4 books in the last 3 or 4 months, and of course I keep reading fiction here and there, some non-fiction here and there. I'm a big fan of Ravi Subramanian's books because he writes about a lot of frauds happening in the financial services industry. I'm a big fan of Mr. Prakash Iyer's books because he beautifully brings out a lot of lessons useful to your business from various, especially from world of sports, and fantastic on leadership and so on. I love reading his books. Several authors, and I have a tendency of picking up books written by unknown authors also, because I was one like that, so I know the importance of that. And sometimes you come across, you really get some pleasant surprises. Big time authors are different, but a new way of writing, new thought process, you come across from new generation authors, new first time authors.
Excellent, PC. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for coming on this Challenges series, PC.
Thanks a lot for this invitation. It is a very useful Monday that I have spent with you, and thanks to TiE, and thanks for some wonderful questions, Praveen. Fortunately, you didn't ask me very difficult questions, so stay likewise always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PC. For the viewers and listeners, this has been brought to you by TiE Chennai. So you can check out anything on the entrepreneur ecosystem for Chennai and the wider Tamil Nadu. Log in to tiechennai.org. You can learn more about PC BALA at pcbala.com. I'm your host and outlier marketer, Praveen Shekhar, signing off. Thank you very much. Until the next episode.